Okay, let's look at this problem. M plus 2 into M minus 4. So once again, two terms inside the bracket, but we know that together, if we were to say how many terms in this expression, we would say 1. Why? Because of the brackets. Okay, but anyways, so we apply FOIL again. So that means our first terms, M times M, positive times positive is positive, 1 times 1 is 1, M times M gives us M to the power 1 plus 1 in the exponent, 2. Then M times negative 4. Positive times a negative, negative. That's the sign. Number 1 times 4, 4. M next door. Combined. Then inner terms. Positive times a positive, positive. 2 times 1, 2. The M next door. Then positive times negative, our last term. Positive times a negative, negative. 2 times 4, 8. Then basically here now we are left with adding and subtracting like terms. So we just write M squared minus 4M plus 2M negative 2M minus what? Minus 8. And that's that. Completed, concluded, done and dusted. Okay, let's move on to the next one. P times P, right? P squared, obviously. Obviously, we've considered the fact that our positive sign gives us a positive. The 1 that's invisible, 1 times 1 gives us 1. The P times P gives us P to the power 2. Then our outer terms, P positive times positive, positive. 1 times 15, 15. The P next door. Then negative 1 times P, inner terms. Negative times a positive, negative. 1 times 1, 1. The P next door. Then negative 1 times positive 15, the last term. Negative times a positive, negative. 1 times 15, 15. Then obviously there's no letter. Ultimately, we look at the terms, 4 of them, we add the like terms. So P squared, we write that there. Then plus 15 minus 1. You can just use a calculator to basically make sure that you are adding these terms properly. But obviously we keep the variable P because for like terms, the variable will always be kept. Then plus 15 minus 1 gives us plus 14 minus 15, the constant term, and that's that. Now something you should observe is that when the signs are different inside the bracket, look at this. The signs here are different. Okay, the product of these two signs that are different will lead to a constant term that is negative. Why? Because a positive times a negative gives you a negative. Look at this also. Signs are also different. If you look at this, a negative times a positive gives you a negative constant term. So when the signs are different for your brackets where you have binomials inside the bracket, then obviously that means that the last term, constant term, will be a negative constant term. But what do you observe about the middle term? If you look at this bracket, it's got positive, it's a very small number. The negative term here, let's just for a moment forget about the sign. If you look at 4 without the sign, 4 is bigger than 2, obviously, if you just forget about the sign. Let's say they were just positive numbers, both of them. So 4 is bigger than 2. So the sign that has adopted the bigger number is negative 4. And you see that the middle term adopts the sign of the bigger number between 2 and 4. Okay, that is just ignoring the signs for a moment. 4 and 2, the biggest number is 4. So the sign of the bigger number seems to be the sign of the middle term. Look at this, all right? The middle term adopts the sign of the bigger number. So between 1 and 15, which one is the bigger number? It's 15. And it seems like the sign of the bigger number is always the middle term, all right? So where there's a positive and negative inside your bracket, the first conclusion we got to is that the last term will be negative because the product of positive and a negative gives us a negative sign for our last term. That's for both these brackets. You see the product of the signs of the last term gives us a negative. But for our middle term, we are always going to be adopting the sign of the bigger number for our middle term. So since the bigger number between 4 and 2 is 4, the sign of 4 is negative. So the sign of the bigger number is adopted for the middle term. Likewise here, the sign of the bigger number is adopted for our middle term because between 15 and 1, which one is the bigger number? It's 15. the sign of the bigger number is adopted for our middle term. Okay, beautiful conclusions to make, especially as they will be applying to factorization as we look at it later on. Okay.